I think one of the largest examples of a common ground in human culture is sports. Almost every nation, as far as I know, has an appreciation for sports, and while it might be at differing degrees, an admiration for athletes. These people who constantly hone their bodies and push the boundaries for what we as a species can do physically. All the way back to ancient Greece and their Olympics, and probably even longer before that, we as a species have been invested not only in watching athletes compete, but in the cream of the crop, the best of the best, champions. And today, I find myself in the unique situation where I get to see the process in which a champion is made live, thanks to my friends, the Jeong family, a family of world-class Taekwondo athletes. My name is Gabriel Kinsley, and this is Making a Champion, the last round.
Hi, my name is Yerim and Jeong. I'm 17 years old and I go to Bak Jones High School. And I'm Yerim and Jeong, 21 years old, and I attend UAB majoring in kinesiology. And we're both Jeongs. We first came to the America in 2012 when I was 6th grade and when she was 2nd grade. Our parents are the masters of Taekwondo who own their own studio. Because of that, we naturally got into this environment when we were young.
어려운 게 아니고 저는 그거를 즐겼다고 생각을 해요. 예, 애들 안고 또 업고 코리아 스타일 업고 핏 가르치고 애들하고 같이 움직이고 안명 잡고 손 잡고 같이 다니면서 킥하고 어려운 것 없이 근데 그런 것도 학생들이 한국 도장이니까 그게 가능했다고 생각합니다.
Since we were raised up in Taekwondo environment due to my parents' business, we thought it's something that everyone has to do. I thought doing Taekwondo is just mandatory, it's part of daily routine that everyone has to go through. But then after I moved to America and I find more friends and seeing not a lot of people exposed to in Taekwondo, I thought it's not something normal that everyone people do. It did make me special. Yes. When I was young, I thought my parents are like superheroes. If my friends knew existence of my parents, like that my parents are Taekwondo grandmasters and master, they won't like play around with me. Like when I was in elementary, like 2nd grade, I always say like, oh, my brother is Jeong, or like my dad is grandmaster in Taekwondo. And no one like will play around with her, mess around with her. My brother was the oldest and he was the only boy in our family. So my dad only focus on him and train him. And my dad didn't even really think about the daughter, like us, because we were the girls. But I was the one who played around while my brother trained, and then I tried to like follow their moves because it looked fun. And that's when my dad found out how flexible I am and how I have potential in Taekwondo. So my dad let me join the trainings then, and I think that's how I started to train seriously.
Yes, and I really didn't train at all. I didn't even practice, take a class in Korea. But once I came to America, like we are the one who actually need to teach. So my dad, actually started to teach me more about Taekwondo, and I actually started to compete when I was in 4th grade.
Before we go any further, for those of you not inducted in the Taekwondo world, I think a clarification might be in order, specifically for the term Poomsae. You're going to hear that word a lot throughout this documentary. And who better to explain what Poomsae is than the Grandmaster himself, Grandmaster Jeong.
폼새는 모든 그 태권도의 그 동작들을 더 원활하게 수행을 하기 위해서 만들어진 하나의 기본 동작을 모아놓은 하나의 형태라고 말할 수 있습니다.
And now with that definition out of the way, we return back to the athletes.
So we have many different classes from young as 3 to adults.
When we start the class, we start from like stretching, warming up our bodies, and we first teach them like basic stuff before we get into actual pumse. And it takes very long, times for them to master those basics.
Not only taekwondo skills, we try to guide them to the right way as they grow in their journey. So not only taekwondo skills, we teach them the respect, discipline, self-confidence, and trying to build their own character throughout the excellence of martial arts.
I like both teaching and competing, but I like more competing because I get to focus on myself and actually train for myself.
I have an opportunity to influence the others and guide them into a better way, and because we are in their journey from the beginning to the end, I get to be with them, and also I get to see all those development. So at the end, that's the most achieving feeling that I get. So that's why I like the teaching side of it, and for the competing side of it, that's the one that makes me shine the most. So because I'm performing what I'm at best at, so I think that's why I like the competing side of it. Yeah, it's my identity pretty much. We can't define ourselves without it.
And Taekwondo is like my best friend. It gave me like priceless memories, experience, and many opportunities, which built me to who I am today.
It's something that I can do. It's something that I do the best on. So when I do Taekwondo, I look the most happy. I look the most confident. Taekwondo uniforms are more comfortable than pajama, and I can even sleep better on the mats. It's very natural. I feel like I'm in peace at home. I feel like that when I do Taekwondo. We dance here, we eat here, we sleep here, we train here, we fight here.
Because we come to our dojang to teach class and help my parents right after school, we don't really have much time to practice like other athletes, but we tried our best to practice ourselves after all the classes. And not only individuals, we have to practice for like pairs and teams, and they're not from our dojang, they're from other states.
So for the pairs and the teams where we have to partner up with other athletes, for that situation, we travel to their states, or sometimes they travel to us during the weekends, during breaks, even in holidays, to train together and try to match up and prepare for the competitions. On New Year's Eve and on New Year's, we traveled to Georgia to train with our pairs, to practice with them, to prepare for this competition, because we need to match perfectly.
Unfortunately, they hit a bit of a speed bump on the way to Atlanta.
We happened to test positive for COVID.
Yes.
For COVID, four family members of 6 tested positive. So we thought we couldn't travel to Georgia to train with our pairs, but thankfully we tested. As soon as we tried to get testing every single day, waiting for that negative.
Yes.
And as soon as we tested negative, we were like screaming in the car.
Yeah.
My mom's eardrum was popping.
After
That, like I think the day after we drove to Georgia right away, excited to train with them.
Yes, and that was like also last break for that before the competition. It was like the winter break, and we were worried that we can't practice for the last time.
As an athlete, it's very important to not get injured So we have to warm up. We need to make sure we are warmed up completely. So we start with warm-ups and do basic hand techniques and kicking techniques. Make sure we are ready for the whole form. And when we practice our form, we try to record every time we do it. And then we perform individually, in pairs and team. And we try to watch that video and find something that we need to fix, where someone needs to speed up, speed down, or change the angle.
During the training, most part of them are the repetition. We kick and kick and kick and kick it over and over until we match perfectly.
Yes. Even until the night before the competition, I can really feel that tomorrow is the competition and I get nervous or something. But on the day of the competition, so my dad is the coach and he stands right behind me. And since the coach standing right behind me is my dad, that makes me even more nervous because I feel so much pressured. I'm representing my dad. That's how I'm thinking, so that's why I get nervous the most. I feel that I'm nervous when I'm first entered and when I'm bowing. So not even when I'm kicking or spinning, I don't feel nervous. But when I bow, that's when I shake my leg the most. I feel like I will lose my balance when I'm bowing. So I think that's how I feel during the competitions.
Yes, and I feel nervous too, like a week before the actual competition date. But right before I enter the mat, my family and my friends always, cheers me out loud, and I think that helps me a lot. We're really nervous about kumgang, which is second degree black belt form, because we have to balance. And even though we practice over and over, it's just a luck.
Okay, so for now, remember that term, kumgang. We'll get back to that later. But first, the real question is, why this tournament? What makes it so much more important than every single tournament that's come before?
So this competition is called 2022 Kumse Grand Slam. And this tournament helps athlete earn the valuable point to actually compete in 2022 World Game that will be in South Korea. You also need to be in top 16 athlete in order to competing for this competition.
Top 16 gets invited to this competition.
Yes.
And this competition gives you the most points. So before, we didn't have opportunity to compete at the Grand Slam, the national team trial before, because we weren't a U.S. citizen. And when we finally become a U.S. citizen in 2020, we did make it into team.
This is actually my second time competing in a Kumse Grand Slam for the World Game. In 2020 Grand Slam, me, my sister Yerim, and my oldest brother Jeong made it to Team USA. But because of COVID-19, it got postponed, and then at the end it got canceled. I feel like this, we actually got to make this 2022 Grand Slam.
So we are desperate.
Yes.
Yes. We were very discouraged and disappointed and very depressed. So
yeah, because we were also quarantined, didn't have any in-person competition, so we didn't even know that this chance will come again.
Then it did in 2022 this year. So, and also because we think it could be our last chance, because I'm graduating next year and graduating college next year, and she's graduating high school next year. So we can guarantee we'll have enough time to pour more effort and time and all that in the future.
Now that we know the players and we know the stakes, I think it's about time to show you all what the Jeong's Taekwondo skills are like. You know, we've been talking about it all this time, but as they say, actions speak louder than words.
Oh, see, I'm getting old. We're so nervous, but at the same time, we're so excited to compete at 2022 Pumse Grand Slam. It'll be in Colorado. Hey! Out in Colorado, okay?
You said it. Next stop, Colorado. So, our journey begins as we make our way to the Pumse Grand Slam in Colorado.
시합장에서는 내가 시합장 가면 전화를 하지 않는 게 통화하다 보면 아이들이 도장도 걱정하고 그럴까봐 걱정하지 말고 온 힘을 열정을 시합에만 쏟으라고 전화도 절대 안 하고 그냥 저는 여기서 마음으로 기도하고 도장에서 학생들 열심히 가르치고 또 다녀오면 기분 좋으라고 청소도 깨끗이 해놓고 또 뭐 먹고 싶은 거 없는지 한 번 더 체크해서 해놓고 이제 어떤 거 결과에 대해서 물어보진 않고 부담 가질까봐 기도하는 마음으로 그냥 기다리고 있습니다.
Within seconds of arrival, I immediately noticed something unique about the atmosphere at this competition. And that was the closeness of everyone there.
Especially after all this whole pandemic, we had a competition through online and there was really no one to cheer me up or hype me up. So I think it was very nice to see all my friends again.
It was here that I met two of Yerim and Yewon's friends, Haley Ra and Daniel Lee.
So my name's Haley Ra, I'm 20. I am a 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo and I'm part of Agape Black Belt Center.
My name's Daniel, I'm 20 years old. I am a 4th degree black belt and my Taekwondo school is Kim's K Taekwondo in Georgia.
I would say we're fairly close. It kind of stinks because physically, geographically, we're so far away, so we can't really do much team bonding outside of the times we have at the competition to train and compete. So, but yeah, it's really nice. They're kind of my sisters in a sense. We all call each other 언니 or so it's good to have them. I like them both a lot.
I'm definitely closer with my traditional Pumse teammates. So I have Pear, Yerim, and my teammate, my male team consists of William, Shin, and David Lee, who's my brother. But between the two groups, I very much feel like they're a part of my family. We met, I think, around the tail end of my middle school or towards the beginning of high school. So early on in my competitive career. I was only in the game for a few years before I matched with Yerim. We started doing pairs.
I spend way more time with them than my school friends. We don't meet as often. That's why whenever we meet, we're very happy to see each other and we try to spend precious time whenever we meet. So, and we also competition is the place where we make the best memory and experience, and it's when it becomes a moment when we achieve a great thing, and when we are together, we are sharing that moment. So I think that makes our bond more stronger.
I also got to hear a bit about the legendary reputation that the Jeong family has in the competitive Taekwondo scene.
But it first started as we've heard about these two, I guess, were they national champions? They were champions of something. And we were oh, these legends, they came from Korea and they're gonna bless us with all this Pumse knowledge. We were a little intimidated first by their presence. But after a while, we learned that like, no, we're friends. We're we can be acquaintances, and we have a common goal that we're setting off to achieve. So yeah, just fun people. Glad to have known them for the past few years.
I've known of them longer than I've actually known them. I've known of them at least, I want to say since 2017-ish, maybe 2016-ish, 2017. So it's been a few years. And I've known them because at the time, that was when I was just starting to get into sports pumse. I made a few friends and then they were like, oh yeah, Yerim, Yewon. And I was like, who's that? And then they're like, oh, they're really good. They don't have their citizenship yet. That's why they're not at these competitions. And I was like, woo, well, lucky for me. Because I was like, they seem tough because I've seen their videos and I was like, wow, they're really good. And then later on, I think I first met them at Canada Open in 2020. Yerim 언니 had just moved up to the under 30 division, and I was in the junior division. I think Yewon was still a cadet. So we were all competing in different divisions. So that was cool to like finally meet them in person. And then from that competition, every competition I saw them, it was like, oh hey, like I know you, and then we became friends.
Now, my first mistake I made was thinking that once we all made it to Colorado, there would be some downtime, for activities and experiences outside of the tournament. I could not have been more wrong in that assumption if I tried. From the moment they got to the venue to the moment they left to return home, they were training non-stop.
For my team form, all my teammates lives in California, which is the whole side of country. So we couldn't really practice in person before the competition. So we had to practice the day before competition at that place really hard, like through over midnight.
It depends on how our schedules worked out prior to the competition. So for some competitions, we've had like a few weeks, maybe when there's like a break where we get together, we can train in person. And in that scenario, it would be more of like polishing off. But in cases where our work and school are just too busy, and we only have like a few number of chances to get together in person to practice, then it's pretty pivotal that we get that time before competition to train together and coordinate.
After hours of training, it was time for the first competition, traditional team forms. And right out the gate, the situation became a little complicated. You see, in this competition, Yerim and Yewon will be competing against each other.
내가 원래 생각을 했던 것도 지금 예원이가 그 주니어에서 시니어로 올라가는 나이가 안 돼서 이거에 대해서 USAT에다가 연락을 해서 우리 아이가 지금 나이가 이렇게 있는데 우리 그 예림이랑 한 팀으로 해도 괜찮은지를 알아본 결과 USAT에서 그렇게 할 수 없다고 해서 내가 어쩔 수 없이 그 예림이를 그 다른 학생들을 오라고 그래서 그 아이들과 한 팀을 만들어서 첫 번째 시합을 했는데 끝나고 나니까 그 USAT에서 또 그렇게 할 수 있다고 그래서 그러면 그렇게 할 수 있으면 첫 번째 예림이랑 했던 아이를 그 중에 한 명을 빼야지만 그 예원이가 그 안으로 갈 수 있는데 그 아이를 그 학생을 어떻게 뺄 수가 없었습니다. 그래서 그냥 끝까지 이번에 월드 게임까지 만약에 걔네들이 해서 1등을 한다면 그 아이들끼리 같이 하는 걸로 했고.
It would be very nice if I competed with her, but I think it does feel weird, and I think it's very unique experience I can have in my life. It's very weird to compete with my sister because I do want her to win, but at the same time, I gotta win, So, well, we are both trying our best. There's no handicaps. It was my first time competing with my sister against my sister because she's always been older than me. So we were in different division, but now I'm over 18. 18 and over. I get to compete with her, and it was very weird, but at the same time, very thankful because whoever wins, it will be my sister or me. So I think that actually it was less nervous for me to compete because whoever wins, I'll be happy.
In traditional team forms, each team will perform 2 forms back to back. From there, the scores will be averaged, and the team with the higher average wins. A bit of an explanation for how scoring is done in Taekwondo. It's on a scale from 1 to 10. However, 6 and up means you're fairly good, 7 and up means you're very good, and 8 and up means you're amazing.
이 태권도 시합에는 2가지로 나눠질 수 있는데 첫 번째는 스파링이고 그 다음에는 품새가 있습니다. 스파링은 0점부터 시작을 하고 0점부터 1, 2, 3, 4점, 5점 이렇게 스코어가 올라가고 품새는 10점부터 9, 8, 7, 6로 이렇게 떨어지는 겁니다. 그래서 이 품새는 실수를 한 그 부분만큼만 0.3점을 하고 그 다음에 0.1점씩 하는데 그 40% 그리고 그 다음에 표현성, 완급 이게 60%가 해당이 됩니다. 그 심판은 이런 식으로 그 학생들의 그 정확성과 힘의 스피드와 얼굴에 그런 나타내지는 거 그리고 이 유니폼을 어떻게 잘 입었는지 이런 걸 종합적으로 심판은 평가를 하고 있습니다.
Before we get into the competition itself, it's time to go back and talk about that form, Kumgang. Kumgang is only the 2nd degree black belt form, but it is still infamous for its difficulty. There are a lot of spins and other motions, but the part that makes it so difficult is the balance involved with crane stance. The athlete has to stand on one leg, bending at the knee, and hold that position for roughly 8 seconds while doing other motions. And that balance is what trips up a lot of athletes and makes Kumgang one of the most difficult pumseis to perform.
So the day before, and starting from the airport and the hotel room, I was very nervous and try to think what I need to work on because I have to focus what I need to work on during team form and pairs. I wasn't competing for individual and more pairs and team. So not about me, I was more focused on my other teammate. I was worried that I would let them down because this wasn't an individual performance and it was pair and team. A lot of pressure, but also there wasn't a ultimate really good female team in the US recently since after COVID. And we thought we could start off with my best friends. They're not only team members, it's not like a business relationship, but we're also really close friends since it's been more than 5 years probably. And being in a team with my best friends, who I think as family, being able to represent USA with them, that opportunity will be very great. So there's a lot of pressure, but also excitement.
First is Yewon's team.
Honestly, there's not much time to think during the performance or right before performance, but I try to think what we've been through the day before, which part we have to synchronize and all that.
You can see the power and focus and form behind each of their movements. Their first form score is 7.87. Their second score, 8.13. Their total average, 8 flat. Right after, the last performers for this category are Yerim's team. Their motions seem just as powerful and perfected as Yewon's team. However, their first score is 7.64. They need to make this next form count for them to qualify for the World Games right here and right now. Their second score, 8.14. Impressive and higher than the other team's second score. But in the end, their average is only 7.89. In an unpredictable change of events, Yewon's team places first by a lead of 0.11.
That surprised me a lot because again at national, we got third place and my sister got first place. So we weren't really expecting that. And now both of our team won the major competition. We will be going to the final team trial that will lead us to become a Team USA. Whoever wins the first place will become the Team USA and represent the 2022 World Game. At the moment, I was just very happy. I was very happy. I was probably happier than how she was, because yeah, I love my sister. So I was very happy. She wasn't able to place recently due to COVID because online competition. She didn't favor the online competition, and this was her first competition as senior officially. So I thought it will be a good start, good encouragement for her to keep trying hard. So at the moment, I was very happy.
There isn't enough time for anyone to dwell on these outcomes, as there are still many competitions left to go. Next up, Team Freestyle.
Traditional Pumse is a lot tamer. It focuses more on the core aspects of Taekwondo, which is like kicking, punching, more like in its raw form. While as freestyle, which has been recently developed over the past few years, is more like traditional Pumse mixed with tricking, like back flips, side flips, all these different acrobatic tricks, mixed with like demo team type board breaking maneuvers.
For the freestyle, it wasn't like a regular Pumse where we just have to follow the Pumse routine that is already made. But for freestyle, it's a customized for just our freestyle team. So we have to memorize all the routine, and there's also music going on with the routine. So we have to make a rhythm together. The most difficult part from the freestyle is synchronizing, because there's 5 people and it's very important to look neat.
As the time to compete grows closer, the unthinkable happens. Yerim gets injured. Just hours before the freestyle competition, she needs to visit the medical station.
Due to scoliosis, I usually have weaker hips, knees, and ankles. Of course, my back as well. But okay, in Taekwondo Pumse, not only you need like power in every single motion. Addition, like on top of those powers, I need to change direction meanwhile, and like all of a sudden, and I need to balance with one leg, one ankle, one knee, and at the same time, I need to perform my flexibility with the power with one leg, changing direction. I think all that gave a lot of stubborn to my joints. My weak joints, it's already weak, but I think it gave a lot of stress. I think that affected a lot. And I also got inflammation in my cartilage in my ribs, like a week before the big competitions, like 4 years ago. I think that was due to, I can't remember like exact cause, but I did get this injured during practice, I remember, and I was still in pain during the competition.
Like with any sport, injuries like this aren't unique just to Yerim.
My shoulders popped out in both freestyle, I guess more like demonstration, like demo team settings, which is kind of similar to freestyle. And for traditional, yeah, my shoulder popped out as well. And we've just suffered a lot of leg injuries as well. So no matter what Pumse you're doing, it's you're always at risk.
Luckily, my injuries haven't been too severe, but a lot of Taekwondo Pumse training is repetition. Bad habits in my technique, which eventually resulted in like these like underlying but really irkable injuries, like because I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again.
I've got injured like a few years ago, and while practicing my kicks, I fell and I fractured my ankle. And a few weeks after with that injury, I had a competition and I had to compete with the fractured ankle and didn't get to go to see a doctor and fix.
But as Yewon clearly shows, injuries aren't enough to stop these athletes on their way to becoming champions, and the time to compete is right around the corner. Despite injuries on the team, they score 7.74, the highest score of the day. Victory's in sight, and they'll be representing the US at the World Games. But unfortunately, shortly after, the next team gets 7.80.
After seeing our score and their score, I was surprised that we lost and very disappointed because at national, our first competition, we got first place and they got second, but at the Grand Slam, we lost by them. I was like, the US is not giving us this US team position easy. You don't earn this spot easy. So I thought it was very unfortunate, and I thought we'll win, but I think it's a great opportunity for us to meet more, practice more, and get stronger.
Once again, there isn't time to dwell on the results as Yerim's next competition is about to begin. After hours of training non-stop, she proves what she said earlier. She actually does sleep on the mat.
That was like first event of the day, but in my most important competition that I consider, which is individual, was the last event of the day. So basically I had to hardly warm up and practice and compete from beginning of the day to like end of the day. Yeah, just practicing all day is hard, but it's a competition where I have to like pour more effort, attention, like my soul in it. Not only like my soul, it's also pressure from like my dad, who is standing right behind me as a coach, and also like my family, my friends, my teammates, and all that. So I think all those focus makes me exhausted mentally too. I honestly get nervous because of him, not because of the judge in front of me. But at the same time, on the other hand, the days where sometimes he doesn't come to the competitions with us due to his business. Like we have Taekwondo that he runs. Due to that, sometimes he can't travel to other states for competitions to coach me. So for those days, I felt free, in the freedom without that. I can practice how much ever I want. That's how I felt. But when I actually competed and even after how I felt, I realized my dad standing behind me and supporting, that means a lot, and that his existence, right, like very close to me, helped, supported me a lot mentally and physically. And that's the one that's the another reason why I push so hard when I want to give up.
With individuals coming up, the next complication presents itself. Haley Ra will also be competing in individuals.
If it was just opponent that I didn't know, I think all the athletes inside their heart probably pray for them to mess up if they're so good, but they don't say it, But when I compete with Haley, and whenever she competes, I literally hold my hands together like this and cheering so hard in my heart and literally praying to that she doesn't make any mistakes or lose balance. I honestly want her to try her best whenever she competes against me, and I do try my best. The winner and loser doesn't really matter, we just try our best.
It's a really interesting dynamic, but again, I think because I have such a good relationship with both of them, it's genuinely I can cheer for them even though I'm competing against them. I think I am very competitive, but they're super, I wouldn't say we're super close, but we have that connection and that hey, if you do well, that makes me happy. So I wouldn't want them to do bad. It's at that point, it's oh, hey, I'm gonna do my best, you do your best, and outcome, I feel all of us can genuinely be happy for each other.
Teammate versus teammate and friend versus friend. The two begin. Haley goes first and gets the highest score of individuals so far, 8.05. Yerim's turn comes up right after, and she scores an 8.15. This is a match of the best the country has to offer, which can be seen shortly after by the next competitor getting a score of 8.21.
So from the last competition, top 16 people were invited, which means we started the competition with semifinal. In semifinal, we had to perform one pumse. That's one. And for finals one, starting from final, we go into brackets where they compete one by one. But for this, you perform two forms, so once at a time. So let's say, for final one, you perform two more. Final two more. Final three, two. So that's one. Finals one, finals two, finals three. So 7. if I did my calculations right. So 7 forms.
The first round is important because it determines the order in which the athletes will be competing with one another. First place will compete against 8th, 2nd and 7th, so on and so on, until 4th competes with 5th, which just so happens to be Yerim versus Haley. The two friends will be directly competing against one another. The final results, despite it being a close match, Yerim manages to come out on top against Haley. The next hurdle might be the highest one yet, though, as the athlete competing against Yerim in the semifinals is the girl who placed first overall, both in the last competition and in the first round of this match. Caitlin Reclusado, one of Yewon's teammates. If Yerim scores first, she will compete again at the team trials. If she doesn't, then her chances to compete as an individual will disappear. The first round passes. Despite how good Yerim is, Caitlin has a strength and a ferocity to her moves. It's power and energy versus form and experience. It's down to the wire. The final form will be the deciding point. Caitlin wins by 0.01 points.
So so it was finals 2 where we compete 2 forms. And the first one I was losing by point something. But for the second one, after my second pumse, I thought I would get higher score and win overall. Right after I finished my pumse, I thought I would win. Because I didn't really have major mistakes, and so. But whenever I saw the score on the TV, I couldn't really pay attention to it because I was very nervous. But I heard a screaming from the other side. Then that's when I realized, okay, she beat me again. Because the one who I lost by, she was way younger than me. She was 3-4 years younger than me. She's very strong, she's sharp, she's so light. She's smaller than me, but she's like a monster. She's very good. But I like to have opponents like her motivating me a lot.
It's been a long few days of non-stop training and competing, and there still remains one more event, the pairs division. However, I unfortunately am unable to stay for this competition. I have to return before the Jeongs for work reasons. Sometimes life happens. All I could think of and hope was that either of them do well during the pairs.
For pairs, all the pairs were really good athletes. They all can be a first place. So we were all, very competitive. And at national, which is one of the major competition, me and my pair got second place, and my sister and her pair got first place. And whoever got third place at the national actually got first place at Grand Slam. So that was also surprising. And my sister, who got first place at National, got fourth, and we placed third. So none of us was expecting that result, but because my sister and her pair got first place at National, they were still going to the final team trial. My parents and I really wanted to win that because at the Nationals, we placed first, which means if we place first here again, we'll be like dominant pairs. We'll be the dominant mixed pairs to represent USA, to compete at the Worlds. We didn't have a major mistake, but we scored a bit low than we expected. I'm not arguing or complaining, but it just happened that way. But I'm not too sad because we have another chance. We will show them that we'll win. Here, we grinded. I was pretty disappointed in individuals. That's the most I was disappointed about. If I yelled a little louder, or just punch a little faster, or kick a little harder in just one kick, I probably could have earned that 0.01 point, which could have led me to finals 3 for gold medal opportunity. Because the finals 3 designated, the assigned pumses were the 2 pumses that I was most confident about. So I thought if I just get to finals 3, I will just win, you know? So that was very unfortunate, disappointing.
결과에 대해서는 먼저 물어보지를 않는 게 아이들이 좋은 결과 있으면 먼저 연락을 줄 것이고 잘했는데도 결과가 안 좋을 수도 있고 그런 것들이 있기 때문에 복합적으로 개인적으로 물어보진 않고 이제 이야기를 해주면 고생했다, 더 열심히 하자. 그러면서 이제 여기서 포기하지 않고 내가 이김으로써 자만하지 않고 짐으로써 실망하고 포기하지 않고 그냥 또 앞으로 다음 또 시합을 위해서 내일을 위해서 더 열심히 할 수 있게끔 그냥 손 잡아주고 어깨 한번 또닥거려주고 그러고 있습니다.
After the many days of competing, the situation has changed dramatically. Now at team trials, Yerim and Yewon will be competing for their last chance to make it onto the US team for the World Games. The struggle isn't over, but if anything, it now takes on a new form. Because in the weeks after the competition, the sacrifices that these athletes have made outside of the tournaments themselves become even more apparent.
So after the competition, I had like tons of makeup homework and a lot of exams. The day after the competition, I had an AP calculus test. So it was super hard for me, but I still had to study for the test at the competition because both my school and Taekwondo is very important to me.
Academically and career-wise, it's definitely become more of a roadblock. It's a little ironic because my application to Duke kind of was founded on Taekwondo and my competitive career and the different volunteering opportunities I had through Taekwondo, specifically in instructing. And that was foundational to my academic career at that point because it let me get into Duke in the first place. But now that my aspirations reach further than just college admissions, I'm trying to finish my pre-med classes, trying to get into a decent enough med school and get a decent score on the MCAT. It's a bit of a roadblock, and I do see myself kind of retiring in the next few years from 100% competing.
Taekwondo is not a cheap sport. Like, definitely money is a big sacrifice and time. I'm sure the Jeong family can also speak to this, but as like we're also a Taekwondo school, it has also sacrificed a lot for it's taken away some, from our business even. Like to focus on competition has also meant that we have to step away from the dojang. It's also, unfortunately, not to like bash on the organization, but they don't do much to support athletes financially. So a lot of that burden falls on us, right? So even if we make US team, it's all of those travel costs and like getting to world championships and it's all on us. So I think that's like a huge sacrifice, and unfortunately a lot of athletes like just can't afford to do that, and I think that's really sad. So money, dojang, I think I've also had to sacrifice, I think, a lot of my social life. The training and a lot of traveling, it takes a big chunk of my time, and so I'm not able to spend time studying even, or like spending time making new friends.
I'm a type of person who struggles very hard to say no. It's very, very hard, and I feel guilty. Yes, it's very hard, but I still have to say no because Taekwondo is my priority right now, and I can hang out and socialize later when I can't do Taekwondo anymore, when I'm old, After the Grand Slam, all my thought was into the final team trial. Even at school during lunchtime, even what I eat is for the team trial. Even for the training, even at the dojang after class, I have to train 2 more hours by myself. So that's every day. I'm very nervous and worried for me and my sister because we're both in junior and in high school and college. So we don't know how our next competition will be. Before the tournament, I have to sleep early because I have to wake up very early, and like makeups and tying hairs and wearing good, very neat clothes and all. Like the preparation takes probably like 2 hours. Like for the boys, it takes like 10 minutes. We have to wake up super early, so I feel like I have to sleep earlier, but I can't go to sleep the day before the competition because I stopped the competition and the practice physically. In my head, I'm like keep practicing imagination training. It's always happening, even when I sleep, because I have a lot of witness that I did pumse while I'm sleeping, kicking and punching. So I think that's why I can go to bed early the day before the competition. Very nervous. I'm just worried if my knees and ankles, my injuries, gonna feel worse tomorrow morning. Yeah, I'm just worried about all that. Just my condition tomorrow morning.
As the days become hours and the hours become minutes before the final competition, Yerim has something she would like to say.
I am very thankful for my parents. My dad, he did sacrifice his time, his weekends for us. He's way older than me, but he drives a lot for us to train with my teammates. He travels to all over the states, even over the country, to coach us and to support us. And the competitions, you need to pay a lot, and he supports a lot for that. And I also want to, I appreciate my mom so much. She doesn't really come to the competitions, but I do feel a lot of her support from her heart, because she's always at home for our business. We have a lot of competition. If we close every single time we go to competition, we can run this business. So she's always there, working herself. Also, it should be pretty hard for her to work herself, teaching other students. But she makes sure that we don't worry about our business. It's our family business, so we all worry. But she makes sure that we don't worry. So I'm very thankful for her. Also, my sister Yudam, she does the same job with my mom. And whenever we win and come back home, I remember she drew like a podium and all of us. She draws in the home, like in the window, and she like congrats. She does the little cute things to make sure we're welcomed back home and all that when we're all exhausted from the competition and long trip. And very thankful for my teammates, my pair, and also thank Gabe for filming all this. Whenever we have to like interview and all that, like I'm very shy in front of in front of cameras, and when I have to talk in English because I'm not 100% confident when I speak in English, because I can't express all of my feelings and my opinions like 100%. But I think it will be a great memory to look over like 10 years later, 20 years later. Yeah, it's a lot of work to like record this and record all this and have it in my album and all that, but you were doing it for us. We're very thankful and pushing us to do this interview. Like when I hate to do interviews, when I watch this and like 30 years later, I'll literally like cry and I'll be very thankful for you. Yeah, that's it.
The day before the team trials feels completely different from the Grand Slam. The atmosphere is serious. There are only the finalists now, less people than before.
Definitely was more nervous, a lot of pressure, very nervous. Like my heart was beating even the day before the competition. I couldn't fall into sleep very well. I feel like the competition started like a week before. Like I was in that mood and state. The other competition is like, oh, if I lose, that's fine. There's no more. Like if even you get the first place, that's what you get. First place, that's it. But for the team trial, only you have to get first place in order to go to Korea. So we're mostly thinking about the next step, not only just the competition, but the next step. So I think that was why many people everyone was more tense and yeah.
The first competition is quite possibly the most important competition of the day for the Jeong family. Team Freestyle is the only chance to guarantee both sisters get to compete in Korea. The next team begins. I can feel my heart in my throat watching them. They didn't make it.
So my freestyle team were very excited because I think our team was very strong, but many people got injured, so we kind of accept the result and we just moved on. We didn't stay in the past too long.
Which means that now the sisters are competing against one another once again.
So after the freestyle, it was our team form competing against my sister's team. It was just her and us. I was very nervous, but at the same time, I was very glad that we were top 2, so I can, be happy when she wins and also be happy when I wins. I thought it was a good respect for me to try my best going against my sister. So I didn't go any less power or anything. I think that really helped me because I think it's really a good respect to show the competitor or opponent, to show that I'm trying my best to win. So I think that's what Yerim did too.
Before I think about how I feel, I was more worried about my sister because she always say that that she is never better than me. My sister is way better than me, and that she could never beat me in her life so she was very low and confident, and she thought our team will obviously win. But what I think is that she is very good. She has super nice kicks. She's very flexible. She's lighter. Her emotions are way lighter. And also, she's young.
This time, instead of just 2 forms, they will be competing 8 times. Same rules as before.
When I saw when our score was close between my sister team and my team, it actually, because I really think my sister's team is really good. And of course, I think my team is really good too, but they're older than us, so they have more experience. So whenever we got a score close to them, personally, I was very happy that we were in the same level with that form. But whenever I saw the score, the big gap between the score, I just thought, I need to work on this form more.
Each team is performing to the best of their abilities. Uniforms snap, kicks fly, kiops cry out, and the scores are neck and neck.
During competition, I didn't really focus on the scores and which team is winning, which team is losing. I didn't keep up with that. I didn't really care, nor I didn't focus at all, because in between the turns, our team were just super focused on for the next match. So we were practicing, counting together, make sure we're on same pace. So until the end, I didn't know the score and how it's going.
As the last form comes around, the stalemate finally breaks. Kumgang has come to take its due. Yerim's team scores 62.14. Yewon's team scores 62.29.
Instead of thinking about me, the first thing I thought was Yerim, how thankful I am to Yerim that she tried her best competing against me. And of course, I thank my teammate and the team coaches and my coach, which is my dad. And I really felt thankful that I could actually compete even at the team trial and to represent USA in Korea.
I think in my head, there was a moment of silence. I could, nothing that I can think of, because, it could be the same reaction for me, even I won and my sister lost.
because it's just one of us are winning and one of us are losing, and we're like sister and family. We are very happy if others win. Also very happy if I win, but if one of us lose, it's also sad. So I don't know. I was very happy at the moment. One side that my sister made into team, but the other hand that I lost. It's pretty simple reason, like, but I had to move on very quick though, because I had a next match, big match.
Now, Yerim only has one last chance to qualify. Her and Daniel must place first against the team that placed first last tournament in pairs, a brother-sister duo. I'm nervous for her. She's had so many injuries over the years and competed twice today already, and in one of them, she performed 8 times. But even then, she's still doing these superhuman things, kicking far above her head, doing perfect splits. It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible, especially for the Jeong family. Just this time, I feel like she's the underdog for once. The final match is about to begin. And unfortunately, Yerim is mostly alone. Yewon and Master Jeong have to leave to catch their flight in order for Yewon to make it back to school in time. Once again, life happens in one of the most unfortunate ways. The match begins, and immediately, it's not looking good.
I was just more hoping to win. Like that hope was way bigger than before, because that was like my last chance to make into the team. And also I've been pairing with Daniel I've been knowing him for 5 years, like around about 5 years, and been pairing a lot. But we didn't make any like major achievement together. So I thought it would be very cool and fun to make this experience with him. Yeah.
Both teams perform their hearts out. Both pairs kick with all their energy and power. The final results, 63.16 to 64.97. Yerim's last chance to qualify has come and gone.
I think so after pair, there was like my last competition of the day. So I think that was the moment when I realized I lost in freestyle team Funse, and pairs. Well, I was fine. I told myself that I'm fine at the moment, because it was like everyone was just so busy. It was loud. Everyone was on competition mood still, and they were just all busy to like take pictures, talk, say goodbye. It was just so loud, so I couldn't really feel like the real feeling, like how I actually feel. Like, yeah, I couldn't realize how I feeling. I was just focused. I was just busy on like so many people. It was like so loud, and also like we had to leave right after, and all this stuff. Well, first of all, I was just happy that Yewon made it, and it's very unfortunate that our team lost team first out, and then the pair. I mean, obviously, the losing is very sad, depressing. Also, made me like very mad, and which makes me to try harder next time for revenge. Yeah, I think that was just briefly how I felt. My flight was like 1 a.m. after that day, and throughout the whole night, I was flying over to my my town, and in that flight, I couldn't really sleep. I couldn't sleep at all, and I was just thinking for whole 8 hours. I don't know what I was thinking about, but I was just I was by myself. I wasn't with my dad and my sister who I can talk with. So it was just myself. I was thinking by myself. I was just like looking out in the window. It was a big child that happened like in one day, and it's already over. I don't have another chance. If I could, I wanna go back in time and try a little harder, balance, yell louder. I think I was trying to find what I should do after, because until the next Worlds, it's in 2024, so that's like another 2 years. And I was just so tired of thinking about how much competitions I had to compete again to get to another chance of team trials. Yeah, I was thinking about future plans, what to do next.
The question that's on everyone's minds now is, what next? What could life look like after Taekwondo? To give us a bit of an idea of what that life might look like, here are Yerim and Jeong, sister and brother of Yewon and Yeon, both currently cadets at West Point.
I'll say I'm still active with Taekwondo at West Point because there's a Taekwondo team at West Point and I'm part of it. And try to go to practice every day. But definitely my priority has been changed. Taekwondo being the most priority in my life before going to West Point. But now being at West Point, my classes, my academic definitely comes for, more important, and also like more military side has been more important than Taekwondo to me.
For me, competing in different, like the level of competition, it's just the people around me. Like I knew the people who I'm competing against before, but now like it's all different people and new people. So it's like, it feels different. But I think overall, it's just, Taekwondo is something that you just fight on your level, like fight by yourself instead of, I don't really think that I'm competing against other people. I always think that I just want to do better than the last time. So there isn't like a lot of difference competing at West Point.
Just seeing other people like my younger sister who still like competes at Taekwondo just makes me kind of miss where I was at beforehand.
I never thought that I'm perfect in Taekwondo. And every time I practice, I just get better. I never get worse. So Taekwondo is something that I would never think that I would be like done. I'll be satisfied with one competition.
With all of these possibilities and thoughts and questions on all of our minds, the only thing to do is keep moving forward. And that means reaching the end of our story, the World Games in Korea. Anything could happen. Unfortunately, life happens once again. COVID comes back to bite, but not on the Jeongs this time actually, this time on me. I failed to meet the standards for entry into Korea, so while my close friends are competing just a few hours away, I will be spending the night in Incheon Airport before flying back home the next day. On the floor, because all the hotels are taken up. As I sit in this quiet, empty airport, I have a lot of time to think about this journey as a whole, to think about what it means to be a champion. And that's when I realized that this journey wasn't the full story at all. It was just one chapter, the latest of many that came before in their lives. Their motivation and training and efforts might have led them to this moment, but this isn't the end. It's just another step. What truly makes a champion isn't getting first in some tournament, no matter how big or important it is. It's about facing all these odds, falling short, and leaving with a smile on your face. It's rising to the occasion, becoming more than even you thought you could. That's what makes a champion.
I'm very proud of you guys. because I know you guys have a lot of things to do and you guys are really busy. But every time I look at you guys practicing or competing, I really get motivations, and I'm just proud that they're sisters.
How well you compete at competition and what kind of result that you get out of it is also important. But I think what's more important is the process to get to that point, like to get the result that you want, right? So if you actually want it, then I actually want you to put efforts to get after it.
예림이에게, 물론 예원이에게 두 딸에게 해주고 싶은 말은 수고했다. 특히 큰딸 예림이 수고했다. 마음이 열심히 해왔는데 결과라는 것은 내가 잘했다고 결과가 좋은 게 아니고 내가 못했다고 또 결과가 나쁜 것도 아니고 좀 아쉬움이 남지만 두 딸에게 수고했고 앞으로도 더 계속 어떤 일이든 최선을 다하고 어떤 결과든 낙담하지 않고 즐기고 즐기는 그런 과정이 됐으면 좋겠다. 그런 이야기를 해주고 싶어요. 예림아, 예원아, 엄마가 사랑해.
아까 내가 처음에 아이들이 시합 나가서 이기고 들어왔을 때 아니면 시합을 잘 못하고 들어왔을 때 어떻게 하냐라고 아까 얘기했지만은 이번에도 마찬가지입니다. 우리 아이들이 이제 나 앞으로 시합 이제 안 할 거야, 그만할 거야 라고 할 때까지는 다 모든 시합이 다 끝난 게 아니니까 더 이렇게 저거 하고 긴장하고 그거를 목표를 삼아서 좀 더 열심히 하라고 나는 애들한테 해줄 수 있는 말이 그거밖에 없다고 생각합니다. 또 이게 내가 이야기하는 게 꼭 그 시합에 국한된 게 아니라 모든 인생에서 나 이거 하나 끝났어 라고 하는 게 아니거든요. 이거를 가지고 내가 시합에 나가서 뭐 열심히 해서 뭐 1등을 해도 괜찮고 3등을 해도 상관없지만은 내가 진짜 있는 힘껏 내가 최선을 다했어 라고 하는 그 마음이 있으면은 그 마음을 가지고 그 어떤 일을 해도 또 이것도 할 때도 더 내가 그런 마음을 가지고 남은 인생을 계속 이렇게 한다면 그 아이는 반드시 저거 성공하리라고 나는 확신합니다. 이상입니다.
We just came back from Korea for the World Game. It was a great experience for me. I get to meet great athletes from all around the world. I felt very honored to represent the USA. And I also felt very nervous and a lot of pressure, but also those feeling of this excitement. It was very nice. And for me, I didn't go there to compete, but to support my sister Yewon. When she was competing on a stage in the World Game, I was very proud and so happy for her for being able to perform her best, like what she is best in front of people, in the place where people who love Taekwondo are gathered. So I was very happy for her to be able to have the opportunity. Not only supporting, I like taking pictures, so I think I have full time to like go around and follow her to take pictures and videos so she can keep some memories. And I was literally like full manager of her. I made sure she had Vaseline on her lips, water, hairpins, make sure her uniform looks good, her makeup looks good. I was just very happy to take care of her and to support. At the World Game, our teammate ended up with 5th place in the world. We got up to final 1 and sadly we lost, but we still got the title of 5th place. The World Game is
mostly the ultimate point where athlete wants to achieve and reach. And we thought this timing and this World Game could be a good point where we can try our best and slowly like
Retire as an athlete.
kind of something like that. Who knows? But during this summer, we're not like completely stopping to compete because we had this opportunity to compete together, not against each other in different team. Last weekend we went to Florida for a Grand Prix. It's a pretty big game. It gives opportunity to participate in nationals. In this big game, we had an opportunity to compete together in a one team. So, we didn't have much pressure because there isn't any big game coming up. It's not like a team trials. It was summer. We're not going to school. We're not that busy, and it was pretty fun.
I'm so proud of Yerim and Yewon and the rest of their family for everything they've done so far and everything I know they will do in the future. Thank you for watching. My name is Gabriel Kinsley, and this has been Making a Champion, the last round. I need one of you to clap.
I just asked you to clap!
You can do like slow motion.
Yeah.
What are your names?
Oh, also, you should answer first.
My name is Gabriel Kinsley, and this is a burp.
Excuse me? 1, 2, 3, cut.
So what?
Oh my god. I'm sorry.
My name is Gabriel Kinsley, and this is Making a Champion, the first... Oh, that was so close!
My name is Yerim and Jeong, 19 years old, and I attend...
19?
Oh,